Talking about, let's look at tax evasion. There's a document that I'll play that tomorrow. There's a documentary on how the rich evade taxes, and they use Elon Musk, Bill Gates, what's the other man name? Warren Buffett, the billionaires of the world in dollars, how they evade taxes. And in summary, they said when they make money, they invest their money in things like stocks and things that are not directly. So in their own account, you don't see, you cannot see, may not be able to see cash.
Okay, I hope the examples that he's given will also expand to include our
Nigeria, yes,
our Nigerian
billionaires, yes.
That's what
I'm saying, yes. That's why I said the documentary was from international. They didn't include our own, but it's the same concept. The rich try to evade. They put their monies in things that, as long as they don't earn, when they come to, they say, I've not made money. And when they want to make money, they go and borrow. And I have a stock that is worth X amount, X billions. Give me X amount, and they give them. So they are seen as debtors. And you don't charge them for debt. You charge them only when they earn. So now let's come to the common man.
Yeah.
What encourages them to evade tax before we get to the rich?
Okay, the examples you used are in developed economies.
Yes.
And in developed economies where they have structure, where somebody is engaging in tax evasion with the style that you have mentioned, it's not necessarily because he's not seeing any benefit from government. I think it's just to feed their greed.
In fact, Donald Trump, the former American president, is even vying to come back again. Is number one. He's going to court for tax evasion over and over. And he deliberately, craftily adopted that strategy.
It's their greed because, you know, when they pay taxes, they have this rush of, I want to be the richest man in America, or I want to be the richest man in the world. For them, it's a big thing. So that's what is their own issue there. But tax evasion in Nigeria is a very different issue. When it comes to the middle class and the low class earners, it is just a simple thing. What am I paying government for when I'm not gaining anything from them? I am suffering, I'm doing my road, I'm doing my light, I'm doing my water, I'm paying security for my streets.
And my own government.
I'm my own government. So why should I, if dustbin in front of my house, they will say there's waste management, there's effluent. It's my people that will still come and carry these things and go and throw in one canal or somewhere. So I'm not interested for the low class and the middle class earners. Now, when it comes to the
rich,
the top class, unfortunately in Nigeria, the most lucrative industry is politics. It's more lucrative than even manufacturing. So you will find that most of the people who are big players in the commercial or industrial sector have one or two ties with the political sector that is driving their industries.
How do we change that narrative?
How
do we change that narrative?
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going to. You see, the cost of governance is too high. The expectations from political systems is too expensive. And because of how expensive it is, at that top level, they will definitely want to evade these taxes to meet up their needs. When some people say, I'm this person's boy, I'm this person's boy because he gives me something every month, or I go there to eat when I'm hungry. He's not thinking outside the box. It's like we were saying, there is no necessary drive to push innovation in revenue generation by government systems in Nigeria. It's not there. Meanwhile, there are simple examples that are already on ground. As at the time I remember in 2017, Indorama paid Rivers State government dividends of 300 billion naira.
As tax?
No, dividend. Dividend.
300 billion. Which year?
Dividend. That was 2017 to 18.
300 billion.
Dividend.
As a shareholder.
As a shareholder. So as a local government, that is what I'm saying.
PhD. How much? And the dynamics. How much are they bringing in?
PhD is supposed to be giving Rivers State government something, but they will tell you tomorrow they don't have money. People are not paying.
So, sir, when he talked about, there's something you talked about here. He said, now, when you say my boy, I'm my master and I'm your boy, is because I come to eat in your house. And Is it not that these leaders have deliberately created that culture of, now we say the imperialist has adopted political independence but economic dependence, and it's a deliberate strategy. So don't you think our politicians have also created their own neocolonialism?
Yes, neocolonialism.
By making
I've seen it.
but instead of us demanding and say, okay, you have put there, go and create companies. It's give me fish. Instead of teaching me, enabling me to fish.
Yes.
Give me fish. And then you're my master. My master.
That's my problem.
So I'm not missing it. We're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Seriously, because if we are to actually
Ask for our
innovate,
leaders. Yes.
if we are to actually be innovative with governance, there is too much to do
Yeah.
than what we are doing now. Look, the international, you mentioned foreign investors a lot, but the international organizations are even more available to us than the foreign investors.
They're actually looking at us.
There's World Bank, there's IMF, there's African Development Bank. These places, if you tap into them seriously, there is a lot of developmental drive that can be pushed into a state that will allow for development, not just focusing on how to carry boys and say this one is my boy or this is my leader. So I think there's a real call. All this now is actually a call for innovation in governance with respect to revenue generation. We just need to start thinking out of the box. Let me tell you something. If you know the money in waste management, it's not this one of to buy fuel to go and pack the waste.
Richards.
I'm talking about
about
recycling.
next
Do you know that recycling of tires? You see those
Richards.
tires that are by my one that
Yeah.
were plenty there. If those tires, if you can recycle them to produce some form of quota and mix it into the quota mix that is used to produce roads, to allow the roads to be more durable, where water will not enter and cause pothole because of the rubber elements that will now be
Well,
involved.
look at it there. It's heaped somewhere.
It's just hit here.
I said,
One day they will burn it.
Heaped at different places.
Yeah,
One day they will burn it.
They'll burn
Everywhere
it
will be
down.
black.
From time to
Polluting
time.
the environment instead of converting it.
That's the thing I'm saying.
But someone is put. You have a Ministry of Environment. We have all the agencies that should be moving this, taking it to whoever is to approve or sign, or creating. I talked about before I started this something I laid the foundation. I said every ministry, agency, and department, your responsibility is to bring solutions to your chief executive.
Exactly.
You look at your area, environment. This is the challenge in my sector. You are there to say these are the solutions. You take it to chief executive. These are the challenges you have in the state. Sir, we need your approval. If you need to establish industry, this will solve this, this will solve that. And a chief executive that is people oriented will say, okay, what do we do? This is what we have. Do we need partnerships? What the way forward? And you start and you make progress. Rather than doing as if you consign me. Look at that's what you're saying. Look at it's heaped there.
It's heaped there. There's a guy in Kenya now. He just does hydropower. He does a biopower generation, turning waste to power. Going to where? Landfills. You know all these landfills where we throw waste away.
One at this airport. One
By the airport.
polluting the
By the
environment.
airport, if you are going to the airport,
Yes.
there's a session you must close your nose.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Now they
Polluting the
have
environment.
what he does is he has these machines that are generation plants that he connects to the landmine and is pulling out. You know those landfills. One of the gases they emit is called methane.
Methane, yeah.
Methane is one of the is a gas that is used to generate electricity.
Yes.
So they extract the methane and they are producing electricity up and down in Kenya. That guy is targeting Lagos next. He's targeting Ibadan. He didn't mention Port Harcourt, but he's targeting
She
Lagos
come
and
to River
Ibadan.
State.
Now, what am I saying?
We should be
We have the
invited.
commissioner for energy here. We have the commissioner for power
Should be
here.
synergizing with kind
Who
of
should synergize with this kind of people?
and come up with proposals.
We need innovation. We don't need this my oga. Let me tell you something about pizza. If you buy one pizza here now, right, and you say we are 4 in the room, we could use it and finish it in 2 days, right? Now, if 5 other people join the 4 of us in the room and we say we buy that same pizza and there are just 5 slices as well, it will not be enough for everybody. What we are doing is we have maintained the same size of pizza and we are bringing too many people
increasing.
to share that pizza. Meanwhile,
True
nobody
program.
is thinking
Yeah.
and saying the demand for pizza is
It's
actually
increasing.
high now. Can we go and open our own small pizza hut where we will start producing? That's the
Well, thank
problem.
God we have a financial expert as a governor. So there's one thing we started seeing from internally generated revenue. So let me come back to you, sir. Talking about state compliance, it's about the people. Now you're talking about the people are asking the question, what are you doing with my money? But if there are systems put in place to block, I'm going to be asking every tax expert that comes here, because one of the challenges we have is we have not the tax net. The tax net is a failure. How many persons and entities are taxable in Rivers State? We're looking at Rivers State. How many persons and entities are taxable? We want that data from Rivers State Internal Revenue Service. I've invited some of your officials. They've not answered me today. Secondly, we want to see how compliant they are, because it will help the governor also know how much. If you have 1 million taxable and you're collecting tax from only 500, the governor is losing another 500. And that is money that the governor can use to do roads, hospitals, schools for the people, and they will applaud this government. Okay? So don't you think that we are also missed it in terms of our taxable data for the people, and then the system to make sure that you cannot avoid it? Sorry, let me also, I remember those days, I think the 70s and 80s, 70s, and especially when they will stop you on the road and say, your tax, I thank God that thing has gone. Because you see people run, they will run of tax. So, right, sir, you can answer me.
I think that scenario that we used to have in the 70s,
yes,
actually demonstrates
that may be crude.
The level of evasion. If you look at it,
yes,
you now know, because if you don't have anything to hide,
yes,
you won't see tax officials
and run away.
I know, as at that time, it was more of psychological.
I'm telling you.
The taxman.
And those we are running. I said, what is more? I didn't know that.
The taxman stays at the motor park,
yeah,
looking unconcerned.
yes.
And meanwhile, assessing the people that are coming out from the motor park psychologically.
And he knows that this person is taxing.
Immediately, he looks at you. This man, are you sure that this man has paid his tax? And
Gen Z's they missed this part. The Gen Z's they missed it.
If he comes close to you, close enough,
like he can't run away.
He knows that you want to run. That will have many tax evaders. So he holds you by the back of your trousers. In fact, so those scenarios have come and gone. I'm sure that the present generation of young people
didn't see it. Yeah.
Didn't see it. Now, he talked about the tax nets.
Yeah. The data. Data bank.
Yes. I want to give the Rivers State Internal Revenue Generation Service the benefit of doubt that they should.
Until I see them here to show us facts and figures.
I want to give them the benefit of doubt that they have, those that are within, at least statistics of those that are within the tax net. We are not going to discover the wheel. You know that until Adekonola came in under I think around the era of Como, that's Governor Como, and then to Odili, we didn't even know that we can generate as much as we did then. Then it looks small, looking at the value of the Naira then. Automatically when
we talked about it, and you listen to it in the documentary, that in some countries they're not looking at increasing. Nigeria is considering increasing VAT tax, okay, like and tied to the legal contestation, who should have it. The previous government took the federal government to court for interpretation. Who should have VAT? Should you go to the federal government or the states or the local government? Okay, who should have it? One. And the other one is, rather than increasing, okay, why not look at other avenues? Like the documentary said, some countries even say no, they don't need it. Why? They embed it in some other areas and then look at natural resources, because it's all about money. So if you harness industrialization, for instance, and you're making billions, let's say like Rivers State is blessed with palm oil, and look at what Singapore and Indonesia are doing with palm oil. Yeah. So if Rivers State, let's say Rivers State is a world leader in palm oil, don't you think that they won't even bother about bothering you about increasing your tax? Yes.
Okay. Most of the developed countries are not engaging in increment of taxes. Rather, they are trying to see how they can increase their tax base by encouraging business. We have looked at some examples, Dubai and the rest. Now, in Nigeria, Buhari that did this 7.5%.
Yes.
Because it was 5% just when he
yeah.
entered. What are the dividends that the people can say this extra 2.5% that was added on? What have we benefited from it as a country? Who is to say, given this extra 2.5% advantage that we had, increment that we had, this is what was accrued to the Nigerian state? We don't have that. I gave you some values at the previous program where I told you at a point we were doing 4.4 trillion naira on subsidy payment. Now we are not paying subsidies anymore. So that money is available to the tune of 4.4 trillion.
It's contested. It's contested.
Okay. Now that we are assumed, I'm corrected myself. Now that we are saying we are no longer paying subsidy, right? That means that tune of money is available.
Assume that's available.
Assumed available. So why are we now saying we want to tax, increase the tax? What have we used what we have already for? I told you about the theory that it is utility that you tie to tax. If you can't tie any utility or benefit to that 2.5% increase that came in 2015, what is the justification for further increase? In a time where personal income is dropping, or real income rather is dropping because of the high inflation rate, the economy is already too tight. Interest rates have increased. We have cash reserve ratio increasing, so banks are not even willing to give out money anymore like before. There's a lot of choking in the supply within the economy. What are you now increasing it for? So if the government can clearly define it and people understand it, then there's some stakeholder engagement. Then I think it will be better.
Before you answer the part B, let me open up the phone lines about rounding up. So if you're out there and you have tax issues and you have maybe solutions to the challenges, you can call the number 0818 144 2222. 0818 144 2222 and 0907 060 7623. 0907 060 7623. The other number is
080-6433-9882. That's 080-6433-9882. You can also send WhatsApp messages to the same number.
Okay, so the part B is the states. The argument whether states should have the VATs or local governments or federal government. Who do you think should have the VATs for? And why they fight for VATs? Is it even necessary?
The fight for VATs is just like we've been saying. There's a little or very little innovation when it comes to revenue generation in government. So whatever pizza is available, can I get two pieces quickly? Can I get one piece quickly? The status quo has always been what we've known, where the state, this is what you are supposed to take. The federal government, this is what you are supposed to take. It's already a known fact. The value-added tax is value to the federal government or the country as a whole. They've always been taking it. So it's a standard practice.
So states should
I think why the state was also trying to do it was because you see, it is also a state governor is the executive officer of the state. Now, if the activities of the federal government happen in a way that it stresses the economy, not allowing the economy to function properly, then I think the state would, by the principle of responsibility, want to intervene to say, come, if this thing is not working, then let's adopt something else, or let's see if there's a way by the law we can take charge of this thing and make this thing work properly.
Especially talking about restructuring.
Exactly.
Because and you're giving more responsibility to the states and local governments, so they need more funds.
They need more funds to run themselves. And if you are stressing the source of their funding, because at least even if you are taking VAT from those companies as federal government, those companies are paying pay as you earn to the states. So the states also have a stake in that company operating effectively. So I think those are the issues that were on the ground at the time.
Director, do you see this working? Because it's money matter, and nobody wants to let go. And again, speaking to the fact that it's both of you have said, and that by any reasonable and responsible person should be thinking about innovation of how to generate revenue, which is lying under maximized or explored.
Yeah, and nothing to hide. Part of the contentious issue when it comes to VAT is on what commodities are these things, are these monies being generated. And these commodities, for instance, alcohol and others, you know, there are some parts of the country that say they don't consume them.
The north.
And yet when money comes out from it, that percentage.
They like the honey, but they don't like the bee.
Yes. So that has also been the contention of those monies that you are seeing are generated by a few states.
Few states.
Yes, which are a bit more liberal when it comes
but
to.
Is there a principle for that? Is it legally tenable to say, okay, because you don't like the honey, I mean the bee, don't partake in the honey?
The thing is, if you are not contributing,
don't share.
You don't like that is
the dividend.
That's the street argument that has also been there. But I think it is very clear what the law says when it comes to sharing of the money from parts, the federal and then the states. And of course, we have a peculiar federalism under two federal states. In fact, the local governments are actually creation of the state governments, and it is the state government that takes control over the local governments and actually creates them. So that is what ours is different. Under the military, we have a system where now a tripartite kind of arrangement where even the local governments are receiving direct allocation, which is not supposed to be under a true federal structure. So these are the issues.
Thank you so much. You'll be listening to Barrister Ayo Tamino, State Director of the National Orientation Agency, and Dr. Pagi. You've been wonderful. We're all part of the change that we want to see, and we are contributing to it. We'd like everyone to contribute. It's our own. We're all stakeholders. So nobody will come on hand. Now we make our TV, now we will change it. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. It's been we value it so much. We thank you for being part of